I can do what I like for the price of a smile. I got a ticket to ride.
We have this breaking story that are happening right now. From Washington, Headline News, CNN Network.
What is normal behavior? What is normal behavior? Is that a question like what is considered normal by...
What do you consider?
What do I consider normal? Yes. I think what I would say I consider normal for like a person, as far as like their actions and behavior, might be whatever is in their own, not comfort zone, but whatever is kind of following their own personal like moral code, moral standards that they, their own ideologies. So as long as you are in the reins of something that kind of makes you feel good about yourself and makes you feel like you're proud of yourself and what you're doing, then whatever that thing is, if you really, inherently feel like it's a good thing and it's positive for your life, then it's normal.
And will you provide some examples of what normal behavior would be?
What normal behavior would be? I think examples of that would be loving the people that you're around, loving your family, loving your friends, showing respect to people, but in a logical way. I think normal would be possibly, maybe going against the grain when it's logic to go against the grain and when it's called for, I guess.
Okay, thank you.
What is abnormal behavior?
Abnormal behavior. I guess besides like the mental abnormalities, like the the patho things that are actually psychologically wrong with you, abnormal behavior might be do you want like an example? Abnormal behavior?
Yeah, some examples would be.
It's so hard. What is abnormal behavior? I guess it's exactly the opposite of what I was saying before. It's something that's going against your own personal beliefs. If you're doing something that you deep down feel like is not right, but you're doing it anyway for some external reason, I think that's abnormal behavior.
Who should decide what normal and abnormal behavior is? Why?
The individual. Because there's such a huge spectrum of what is normal in this part of the world, and what is normal for this age and this type of person, and whether you're introverted or extroverted, or whether this race or this race. I think that definitely the only way you could possibly define it is by the individual itself. I don't think there's any way a group could ever come to sorts on what is normal. Yeah.
Normal behavior, and will you provide some example of what normal behavior would be?
Normal behavior is anything that is considered part of a culture, or anything that isn't weird. For example, going to school would be an example of normal behavior. Another example would be going to the supermarket, or spending time with your family. Those are 3 examples.
What is abnormal behavior, and will you provide some examples?
Abnormal behavior is behavior that is not sticking to the status quo, like for example, alcoholism, drugs, any type of crime would be considered abnormal behavior to different cultures.
Who should decide what normal and abnormal behavior is and why?
Okay, according to philosophy, there's a theory of relativity that says that all truths are relative, so for some people some things might be correct, and for some people that same event might not, so there is no exact definition of what is correct and what isn't. Gracias.
Daddy, can you play Princess Fashion Shows with me?
Sweetheart, I'd love to, but the guys, they're outside waiting for me.
That's Vito's.
Steve, what is the holdup?
Is that my wedding dress?
It could be. just breaking stories that are happening right now. From Washington, Headline News, CNN Network.
Are there common themes in the responses?
Yes, they are. For example, everyone said that being normal, it's very difficult to be explained because what normal could be for some cultures could not be for others. So it's very hard to find a definition of being normal. That's what everyone thought.
Are there responses you agree with? Why?
Yes, I do agree with some responses because for both interviews we made, we found the similar answers of both not being terms we can define. For example, Miss Ali Doby said that there is no specific definition for both terms, and we do agree with that.
Are there responses you disagree with? Why?
For most of the part, we agree with all the responses, but there was one specific part which we disagree with, which was when Eduardo said that abnormal behavior is people who are alcoholic or prostitutes, because as we said before, neither of these words can be defined. So we disagree with that.
What example of normal and abnormal behavior would you add to what your interviewees provided?
Well, a normal behavior is something you see that they do everyday basis, the same thing all over again. But in an abnormal behavior, they do something that you don't seem normal, that you don't do, and that's why you see people abnormal.
Who should decide what normal and abnormal behavior is?
Well, in my opinion, nobody should decide what normal and abnormal is, because everybody has their own definition of what normal is. For example, an alcoholic might consider drinking normal, while other people that are not might not. So that's an example of why I think nobody should decide what normal is.
We have just breaking stories that are happening right now. From Washington, Headline News, CNN Network.